No, I also, first of all, of course, wanted to add my thanks. I think the talk was very insightful and really gave us a picture of life on that river. But a couple of questions. One is the kind of view of the river that you've talked about, the views of the river, contrasting the view of the state and so on with the view of communities living over there. Now, how, given the fact that the state is effectively the one that is in charge of how that river is going to, whether it's going to exist, not exist, be modified, the dam is going to be built, whatever is going to happen, and therefore of the lives of all the communities. Now, in the current system of governance, is there any scope at all for anything which really meaningfully includes the views of those people? The only thing that comes to mind remotely is if, let's say, something like the Panchayati Raj laws had more teeth, if they were, effective. But even then, you're talking really about a system of governance which is radically federal, where you're not just small representatives of a region which then combine with other regions and then put their petitions before some centralized authority, but really of autonomous regions within a country like India. That is the only way in which perhaps something of that kind of diversity or local empowerment could be retained. So the first question was regarding this. I mean, you said, for example, you're not really in touch with policymakers, or you don't see the point of talking to them, but then otherwise this just becomes sort of an obituary, all the research. So my question was that what, I don't know if I've expressed it clearly, but something along these lines. The other thing was just taking up on what the other gentleman said. I was constantly struck by the fact that when you were narrating these things, incidentally, a bit of a digression. I think for everyone who listens to something like this, we have our own references. I was constantly reminded of this book called A River Runs Through It, which is a book by an American, about an American river. But again, the same sense of the life on that river, the communities, came out beautifully. In that case, as it happens, in written prose. But on a parallel with what he was saying, have you never thought of making a film about this? Wouldn't these things come out much more evocatively in a film? And I happen to be a filmmaker, but that's not primarily why I'm saying it. I'm just asking generally. Thanks.
About the film, the last question first. So, no, about the film, I went there always with just my still camera, which was an old SLR handed down to me by my father. So, it was impractical according to some friend of mine, because every time I'd go, I'd come with 3-4 rolls of film, develop them, print them, all by my own money, and many times my stories would not get published at all. So I've spent a lot of money just doing that. I didn't have a moving camera with me, but I wish I did, because my only moving camera was this cell phone, which I had bought at that point incidentally. Very coincidentally, I'd bought this exactly as my journeys began. So these small clips of video is all I have from 2006 till 2007. Every single moment I was there, I was, clicking on this particular phone. I did think that, maybe I should put all those videos in a sequence and, but it doesn't seem possible with the kind of resources that I have. But I do want to, at some point now, put them all out on the public domain. All these. I don't just have this, I also have some voices, not just voices, but also sounds of birds, the forest, the silence, the rivers, all of it. So I just want to put them all on a website for everybody to see, because you just need to hear and you need to see to actually make sense of it. But I need to take somebody's help, because you need to put them all in a I think I have some 300 such small clippings, must be more than 300. I never counted, because 2006 till 2010, all the 5 journeys of mine. So I had thought of it, but considering that, it becomes like an obituary, I say that at present, indeed, it seems like that, because, I used to think that if you write, people see, and, maybe some difference can be made. But it doesn't seem to happen for me, because very few, there are very few who have that link, where you write an article and straight goes to the top guy, straight it goes to the parliament, is discussed. Very few journalists have that kind of, direct link, and probably takes them years to go there. But I have some other solutions which I thought, I think it starts from the schooling. It starts from the very fact that right from childhood, you're not letting the child be sensitive to sounds, other than the TV, see anything other than a book, not a child in my apartment, at least I can speak of my building where I stay. Not one of them ever goes up to the terrace even to look at stars. Forget about anything else. So it's all about, how schooling just conditions you in such a way that you don't want to look at sights which you're not otherwise, none of them will go to the river. Nobody knows what a river looks like, outside of textbooks or outside of TV. That's all. So I think it all begins there, in the way our education is, in the way we are sensitive or not sensitive to other sights, other communities, other sounds. It all begins from there. Now, I don't know what else I can say. I mean, if I can, I have gone, I was invited to a World Bank consultation, in Delhi. There also I raised this point. But it was a consultation, very funnily, there were these bureaucrats who were talking the language of the industrialists. There's especially an IAS collector sitting there. Every time, and he had come to another meeting in Hyderabad also, each time he would say the same thing. He would say, what are you talking about? People want to give up land. People want to give up farming. So there was people like this sitting all around, except for KB Saxena and me and just one more person. We were the only three who were talking differently, But all the policy makers were there, other policy makers. So what difference does it make finally? They did come out with recommendations and all that, but does it really translate into action? I don't think so, because the whole thing is about money today. Now, unless the cash economy changes drastically, it's all like that. I think it's all about world political economy. And we can't talk of India or Andhra Pradesh as in a vacuum. That's important.